Okay, this is a evaluation on some photos that were sent to me um, on Felicity. Uh, she's in the face on my Facebook page, so you can check out a little bit of her history. Newly to TACT, owner is really taking, I like to say, grab the bull by the horns on trimming, um, and just sent me a few pictures, and I wanted to share with you. Um, what I see in these pictures. So, okay, the left front, and this is before the trim. You can see she is getting pretty long, and this is cool to look at this beforehand and then look at it after. So, what we really want to see, what we want to look at and train our eye to look at, is we can see that if you go along here, this is a fair, like if this was all, sorry about my squiggly line there, um, connected well with the lamina, which it is fairly well up here. Internal foot probably ends about there. And then you can see this kind of, flaring out that happens. And that's, mainly due to leverage. The capsule's not strong because it was compromised up here, way back. Like this capsule here started, grew from here. So that we're still dealing with. You can see some of the rasping and stuff from the previous trims and stuff like that. So let's now look at it. So what do we see right off? It looks to me like if I saw a straight down shot, the caudal view, I call it, this to me looks like there's a lot of capsule that's sticking above the sole. Okay, so let's now look at, I'll clean that up. This is before trim, and then the after trim shot. You can see how a nice job on taking off some of the leverage here and beveling that. I can see how it made a little nubby there to jam the heel, which is good. I can see a little bit of space here for these tubules to start moving back, which is good because we want it's a domino effect. We put pressure on the tubules here, go back, and they push those tubules back and those tubules back until we get back to our heels. So when we look at this picture, we can see some interesting things. She has been doing a little bit of self trimming, and that's typically you're going to have a weaker capsule because of the folded foot, and I have a picture of that later. But I want to look at that. Okay, that when that coronary band is raised like that, and I'll clean that up just to show you it again. You can clearly, if the coronary band, right, was relaxed and not being jammed, then you would see it like this. But you clearly see that it's raised here. Now, what's that from? If you follow the tubules down, it's from this region here being too long. So if I look, I'll just move right now into a dorsal view. This is a trim I did on the 19th, and you can see that I take a little more, I could even take more off, a little more leverage off, trying to get that capsule staying connected with um, the lamina and no leverage to affect the um, the no leverage to cause this capsule to have prying off of the internal foot and the sole part. So if we go back and look at this guy here, I can still see where there's still some leverage here. I'd bevel that a little bit more. I'd take her toe. To me, I can't tell unless I have another shot. But to me, this toe needs to be taken back through the white line because she's sound. She's reacting or she's responding to the trims really, really well. Okay. I go a little bit further up here and I'd actually color that with a marker, make your nubby. Got a little bit closer here. And so I would take a little bit more in this region here. And it looks to me like you've released it there, the bar um, from the hoof capsule here. That looks good. So this looks good. Clean this up. It looks like you've cleaned out the frog at the back of the collateral groove, but I see a lot of periopal that still needs to be cleaned up, and the frog can be cleaned up too. Okay. So this looks fairly good here. This looks like you started rasping into the sole, so you know you've kind of gone far enough here. And then next is to take that, the outer part of that capsule is really hard, so you want to take um, the leverage off and by beveling. So if you look at this picture again, you can see the way this is a toe that's taken back through the white line and then beveled, went to the sole in the quarters and heel region of the capsule, and then beveled. And again, there could have even been more beveling here. But when we look at this next picture here, this is the lateral one, and I want to compare this one to this picture here. So you can see again, I had this picture where I was showing some jamming, and keep that in mind. And we look at that one where this is a more of a side view, so that's the problem with that. But you can see how by taking more of that leverage off in that region, that you're going to take away the jamming that's going to happen. And remember, if the tubules may have no choice but to jam up and cause that coronary band to raise. So that's a tall tale. This is a foot that's still um, folded. You can see how the tubules here run this way, and then you've got tubules that are here, and then you've got tubules that are, whoops, that are there. Okay, so her foot is still folded, but she's new into tack trimming, so she has to be unbound, what we call, and this is Linda Harris's work. I wanted to share this with you to show here is a situation where you've got this is an unbound foot, and you can see how much um, of the foot is behind that axis of the long pastern. And um, when we trim out the heels, this is an example of the heels being trimmed out, being the whole foot is drawn under itself. You can see here it's starting to fold, and the foot literally will fold. So the pink lines she's shown here are where the foot should be, and here's a foot that has folded, and heels are underrun. And what would you see when you look at this horse? You would see very similar to the picture I just drew. You'd have tubules here, and tubules here. So you can see how they are underrun. So that's a good visual picture to keep in mind about what you're looking at when you're looking at your pictures and evaluating your trim. It's always important to take pictures, because when you take pictures, you can really see what's going on. So this one has shown up with a really big crack. I didn't have previous pictures, and a, a couple main reason is you've got leverage, and the second one is that she doesn't have a strong capsule because it's not lined up with the internal foot. So you can see in this picture that underrun nature. You're going to see very similar in all of her feet. Underrun. Oh, that was kind of bad. Let's try that again. Right, and so these tubules should actually be when she unfolds, her tubules are going to be, oh, they're not going to be bent, but they're going to be more like this, in line with this. Okay, you see how they're underrun. This is where they are now, right here, and this is where we want them to be. So how do we do that? Well, this is part of it, and this is looking, this one looks like there was less taken off. Right, I would like to see, and now again, the angle may be up, but it looks to me like it still has some jamming. So capsule got left long. This big crack would indicate this. I would be very aggressive on this and not allowing any leverage in that crack to allow that. You can't undo this, but you can grow a healthier capsule from the top. Okay. And so if I look at this, here would be the little nubby. So you could take out more of this. And this one doesn't, looks like it's more connected, the bar with the wall. She would have probably likely what we call a false heel, where it's just the side wall and the bar together. It's actually not true heel buttress. Her heel buttress grows from here, but when it's underrun, it's very difficult for them to grow a heel buttress. So once we get this pushed back, these heels pushed back, then she can grow a nice strong heel buttress. So looks to me, I would say, and this is what I think I'm seeing here, is that this, I'd like to see even where the rasp is starting to touch the sole. So when you are rasping this way and this way, that I'd like to see that you've touched the sole here, and then bevel that hard outer pigmented capsule. Okay. Again, the same thing with the toe. I want you to use your um, markers, and I want you to draw that center line. Sorry about my crookedness here. And I want you to take that right across, and that all that toe has to be taken back through the white line. And again, because she is sound, she doesn't have any, she's got some, definitely kind of a weak capsule, but she's not showing any kind of unsoundness, laminitis, any navicular, any type of foot conditions. So every trim, that you should be taking that toe back to the white line. Now, in saying that, you can't just do the toe. You can't just take the toe off and not give her space to go. So you have to, this is nice. I like this nice little gap here, but I'd like to see it even back further. There's the nubby. So I want to see that kind of gap there, and really got to clean up the periopal. Right, this doesn't, I think this could be cleaned out more. The frog, that one looks okay, but it looks to me like there's still an awful lot of periopal around that back. You need to remove that so that the bulbs can move back, and then make sure you find your apex. So that's what I see in the pictures. I really, again, for just 3 months into this, rasping skills are very good. Just take more off of it. This leverage is just like growing long fingernails and saying, now I want you to go dig in the sand. So it's going to keep prying and prying on her capsule. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some pink in here when you get to the white line, and that's because this is leverage. It's pulling. This capsule is pulling on the internal foot, the connection with the sole, the white line, which is the white line, and then the lamina connections, the sensitive and insensitive. Okay, I'm going to stop there because the other pictures were similar, and same trimming um, method. So thanks for sharing those pictures, and happy trimming.